All right. Good evening. I'm Dr. Jeremy Sabato.
What is your official job title and what does it mean?
So my job title is pediatric interventional radiologist, which is a little bit of a mouthful. It's a pretty subspecialized um, area of medicine that falls under the group of radiology, which is um, the use of medical imaging to diagnose and treat patients. The pediatric portion, of course, is that I do this primarily in a pediatric hospital, and the interventional part is my area of radiology is focused mostly on doing minimally invasive interventions. So these are procedures that I do where I use medical imaging like X-ray, ultrasound, CAT scan to help guide the the procedures that I do that help treat patients.
What is pediatric medicine?
What is pediatric medicine?
Yes.
Uh,
What is pediatrics?
so pediatrics is the field of medical study that focuses on children. At most hospitals, that means taking care of anyone from premature babies all the way to young adults. So that could be usually between the ages of 18 and 21, depending on the hospital. And in general, you're focused on the majority of the different types of healthcare needs in that population.
Why did you personally choose to practice interventional radiology?
So I started out by doing a residency in radiology, and so within radiology you can choose to subspecialize further within that field, and including within pediatrics and then also within interventional radiology. Interventional I found to be a lot more hands-on. You're oftentimes physically doing the procedures and meeting with patients and their families, talking to them about the procedure, talking about the disease or disorder that you're trying to diagnose and potentially treat. So I enjoy a lot of those aspects of patient care, and I definitely enjoy using the high-tech tools and advanced imaging technology to help treat patients. So it's both intellectually interesting and very hands-on, and I enjoy the feeling, the satisfaction I get from actually doing something for a patient, and oftentimes helping to immediately improve their condition. So.
What schools did you go to get to where you are today?
So I went to undergraduate at Penn State, and then where I majored in biology, and then after that I went to Temple University for medical school, and then after that I did an internship at Reading Hospital. After that I did a residency in diagnostic radiology at Ohio State, and then after that I did further subspecialization in pediatrics and pediatric radiology and pediatric interventional radiology. That was at Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus. So that's all of my training after high school.
All right.
Is it recording?
Yeah. In order, what did you do at each school and why did you pick each one you went to?
So I went to Penn State for undergraduate studies, and I majored in biology. I picked Penn State because we were living in Pennsylvania at the time, so I was getting in-state tuition. It was had the majors I wanted that I was considering, and it was also a big school, which I thought would be better for me because they're offer a lot of opportunities, and that I figured there would be enough fun things to do that I would enjoy the experience more. So that was sort of the main reason. And at the time, I didn't want to go too far away from home. So I was about 2.5 hours away from Lancaster, which is where we were living. And I also, I think I kind of liked the fact too that I knew a few people that were going there from my high school, including a couple of my friends. So I knew that when I went up there, I'd at least have a couple people that I was already familiar with. So after college, I took a 2-year break and worked. And then after that, I applied to medical school and got into Temple. And the way, at least, I applied to a bunch of medical schools and got interviews at a few schools, and then Temple was one that I got into, and I chose it in part because it was an in-state school, so the tuition was a little bit cheaper, and also it was relatively closer to home. But Temple has a good program. I got good training there, and definitely set me up well for residency, which is I did my internship at Reading Hospital. Again, picked it because it was fairly close to where our family was, and then went to Ohio State after that. Ohio State had a good radiology program. I liked the city of Columbus, and we also had my uncle's family lived here too. So if we were going to be moving away somewhere, it was nice to know we were going to be moving somewhere where we had some family connection. Because at the time we moved there, we had Eli, had you and Violet. So we still wanted to be somewhat close to family.
All right. What college majors would you recommend to students that want to get into medicine?
Well, there's a lot of there's a handful of requirements for med school, and sometimes meeting those requirements are easier if you have a science major. But in the end, most med schools say you can major in just about anything you want. So it's a good idea to pick majors that you're going to enjoy, so that you get good grades in them, because that will be rated heavily if you getting good grades, getting a high GPA, and to some extent that's probably more favorable than doing what's typically considered a difficult major, but only kind of getting mediocre grades. So I think it's a better idea to pick a major in something you like and work hard in it, and because you'll probably get more out of that experience anyway. And it seems to be there doesn't seem to be a significant advantage to doing any particular type of major. I wouldn't say that's true across the board, but I definitely think medical schools are a lot more interested in people who've majored in humanities or the social sciences, and have sort of developed a well-rounded education while they were in college.
Did you work anywhere else to prepare you for this job, or anywhere else in general before you worked your official job?
Well, yes. So I think a lot of so I think doing any kind of job when you're in high school and college and possibly in medical school can always be helpful in preparing you for your career. There's a lot of important skills you develop from doing entry-level type jobs, menial jobs, customer service type jobs, things that are usually easier for high school students and college students to get. I think there's a lot of value in doing those jobs. So some of the things I did, I worked I worked as a lifeguard when I was in high school, which required a lot of first aid and CPR and um, you know rescue type skills. So there's a little bit of an overlap there with medical training. Also, when I was in college, I worked as a nursing assistant, which gave me a lot of exposure to just healthcare in general. I had to do a lot of the kind of the hard, dirty work that nursing assistants have to do, and kind of exposes you to a lot of some of the hardest parts of healthcare. So I think that was a good experience. The I also worked in restaurants in the cafeteria, so that's can be very busy work. It can be very high pressure during busy times. So you kind of learn to handle high pressure situations in what's really sort of a low stakes situation. So if you're not that good at it, it's not all that bad, because in the end you're only serving food. You're not trying to save someone's life, but it does help you learn to deal with pressure. I worked at a camera store where I did more customer service, in retail, and again, I think getting customer service skills are good for a whole variety of fields, but it's definitely important for medicine, being a physician. And then I worked during that break between college and medical school, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry, and learned some, I'd say, a little bit of science, a little bit of business, a little bit of corporate work, and those were all were all beneficial skills. A lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily have an immediate or direct impact on your ability to practice medicine, but over the years of having practiced medicine, you can see how a lot of those skills put together help make you more effective at your job. So that was sort of my background. But no one person who's, if someone's interested in becoming a doctor or working in healthcare, again, I think there's lots of different types of jobs out there that I think can be very helpful and effective for getting you experience and helping you be successful in your career. And it doesn't all have to be the same. And I think there's great value in different people doing different kinds of jobs, but all working in medicine together to help bring different perspectives and values and ideas to achieve a better outcome in healthcare. So but I think you got to get out there and do something. You got to be constantly trying to find new ways to learn new skills and get new experiences, and that's what's probably most valuable, not any one particular skill.